These words are from Walt Whitman, poet, nurse, out-of-the-closet gay man when that was truly rare, and Unitarian. Let us hear his words from Song of Myself. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from the soil, this air, born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health, begin, hoping to cease, not till death. I am of old and young, of the foolish as much the wise, maternal as well as paternal, a child as well as a man, stuffed with the stuff that is coarse and stuffed with the stuff that is fine, a southerner soon as a northerner, at home on the hills of Vermont or in the woods of Maine or the Texan ranch, comrade of raftsmen and coalmen, a learner with the simplest, a teacher of the thoughtfulest, a novice beginning, yet also an experient of myriads of seasons. Of every hue and caste am I, of every rank and religion, a farmer, mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, Quaker, prisoner, fancy man, rowdy, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own diversity. Breathe the air, but leave plenty after me, and am not stuck up and am in my place. Because I know I am solid and sound. To me, the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow, and these tend inward to me, and I tend outward to them, and such as it is to be of these more or less I am. And of these, one and all, I weave the song of myself.
Good morning. Here is our world on this beautiful morning here in February. It is beautiful. It's also hard for some of you. We're here to try to keep our hearts tender, you and I, and our eyes soft, to help each other keep our words true. We know there's no answer but to love each other, and that's tough in this time of rage. We gather in community week after week, Sunday after Sunday, to practice being the person that we're trying to be, sometimes with success, other times with less than success. We can't do everything. But so let us forget our perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. Let us say together, that is how the light gets in. I was in the living room, and Karen was in the kitchen, and she yelled to me, "You have to swab your cheek." That's it? That's all I have to do? Read the directions, she yells to me. But I don't like to read directions. I don't like to ask for directions. I forge ahead and I ask my family to cover my tracks. Do I have any company here? There's way more of you who do that than raise your hands, I can guarantee you. Well, it's got a Q-tip thingy. And oh, look, the directions are pictures, so I can follow those. Swab cheek. Now, Do they mean on the inside? I yell into the kitchen. Do I swab the cheek on the inside? Oh my God. I'm never going to get you a Christmas gift again. Yes, on the inside. How did you graduate from graduate school? To which I replied, that was seminary, not science. Okay, so I swabbed the cheek on the inside, and when done, I put it into the sealed plastic tube, and I then put it into the addressed envelope, no postage necessary if mailed in the United States. And then it says, wait a couple weeks for an email notifying me of what? My ancestors, my genetics. Thankfully, I did not ask for that extra feature test that lets you know your genetic tendencies towards diseases for which there is no cure. Because if you don't already struggle with anxiety, which I do, it seems like the test makers are there to help you with that. 2 weeks later, the email lands in my folder, in my inbox, in the spam, actually. Nathan, your 23andMe results are ready. Click here to open the door to who and whose you are, which felt more like a religious statement than a genetic one. Click. Nathan, explore the genetic traits behind your appearance. And tendencies. Okay. This is amazing. Nathan, ability to match musical pitch. Nathan, you are less likely to match musical pitch. Likelihood to have a unibrow. Nathan, likely to have at least a little unibrow. It literally said that. Likelihood to have hair loss. Nathan, likely. Right? And I get this far and I'm thinking, if what I wanted were insults, I could have just asked my teenagers. Like, this is supposed to be a present to me? Likelihood to have fear of public speaking. Nathan, you might not have that much fear of public speaking. That's good for you, good for me. And it went on and on. It went on and on, it went on and on. It indicated my tendencies to smell asparagus. I can. Have super long fingers. I do have super long fingers. Prefer vanilla more than chocolate ice cream. And whether or not I'm a morning person. A morning person. I'm like neither. I mean, it just depends. Here's the thing. Who knew this stuff was genetic? I just thought I was being me. Me being me. Unique. Special. One of a kind. And instead, it seems I belong to a community of people who share my DNA, or at least parts of it. And that's the rub. We want to belong. We don't want to be alone. We don't want to be conspicuous. And we also want to feel singular, noteworthy, special. Right? Which is why here at church we get to remind each other that we are both. You are special. You are. You're loved. You're worthy. You're welcome. No more than anybody else, though, and no less. All of us need to be reminded of that, don't we? I do, at least. Nathan, click here for the composition of your ancestry. Warning. Before proceeding, please know the results may impact who you believe your relatives are. Now, look, we've all seen those YouTube videos where people discover that their people aren't who they thought they were. Do I click? Nathan, you are 100% human. Well, that's good. Nathan, you are 99.5% European. German, Dutch, German, 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 German. Which explains why when I was in Berlin and I saw 40-something skinny white guys, I was looking in a mirror. It also fits the stories of immigration that my grandmother told me in her house, how her, I think, great-grandfather came over from Germany, a dentist. And people like him came to the Midwest and settled all over the Midwest and in St. Louis in particular to avoid the persecution of their religion by white Protestants. But these people also, of course, moved into land that had been home before them to tribes like the Illini, the Missouri, I looked this up yesterday, the Chickasaw, and the Osage. Well, what's that 5%? What's that green sliver? Nathan, you are 5% Ashkenazi Jew. Really? I was meeting with Tom, you and I were talking this week, and I said Ashkenazi, and you said to me, it's Hebrew for German. German Jew. People who left the Middle East in the Middle Ages, went to Europe, and then eventually emigrated to North America seeking religious freedom. Moments later, I pick up the phone and I call my mom, and in a prosecutorial tone, I say, "Did you know about this?" Because, I may be 48, but I'm still a kid, and my mom still is supposed to know everything, right? But she's as surprised as I am. And now she and I, because remember my sister's adopted from Vietnam, she and I are left with a whole lot of questions. Who in our branching family was Jewish? Where did they live? Did they have to hide their Jewishness like so many did in St. Louis in the 17th and 18th and 19th century? Did anyone in our tree live in Germany during World War II? Did any of my relatives die in the Holocaust? Did anyone in my family know about this connection? And if they did they hide it? Did anyone in my family feel shame? Are there people in my family who are anti-Semitic? I mean, it's only like 4 or 5%, but it's weird. It's like mattering to me. Because suddenly these stories and these histories that I thought belonged to other people, right? They're not so other anymore. Suddenly who my people are has gotten a little bit more complicated. Suddenly, apropos to Heather's message this morning, the circle of people and their stories and experiences of my family has gotten wider, more like this morning, more ovally. And whenever our circles get stretched in ways that we aren't expecting, this is the thing that happens. Our values get stretched. Our assumptions get stretched. Our vision gets stretched. And that's actually helpful to me because it explains why inviting new people into my life and new experiences and new stories, we did this yesterday with the Visions of Justice for those of you who were there, I'm supposed to say it feels good, and it does, but it also feels really tricky and like hard and complicated to me. Why? Because it's nice to stay with what you know. It's nice to keep your circle small. Karen, can I exchange this gift for some bike stuff? I mean, it's tempting. What do you know that you'd rather you never knew? It's really tempting when it feels like this week, like when the world is on fire. I mean, what the heck, Iowa? What the heck, State of the Union? Rush Limbaugh getting the Medal of Freedom? And closer in, too. Some of you tell me, this week, on fire with all kinds of worry and all kinds of weight for yourself and for stuff going on in your families. The world feels so hard right now to me. Does it feel that way to you? Outside in the big circle of the world, outside in the smaller circle of our country, and for some of you, the circle in your families, your spouses, your kids, your parents, yourself. I mean, it's tempting to just want to hide. It's tempting to hunker down. I mean, it's tempting to keep things close in. It's tempting to keep the circle small. I want to. I really want to. And I want to tell you that if you feel that way, that there's nothing wrong with that feeling. There are no wrong feelings in this time. But the thing is that now I've got to ask myself to do something and you to do something that we'd really rather not do. Because it's really kind of a pain to be part of a church community that asks us to broaden the circle. I mean, we could all just stay home this morning. I've got to ask us, though, to resist the temptation to be small. I've got to ask us to reach out instead of only reaching in and reaching down. I've got to ask us to call on the DNA of each other to share the qualities that we're going to need for the long haul of this time that we're in. I've got to ask us to widen the circle, to let each other in. I've got to ask us to call on our people. So, last night I was thinking about this, and I was imagining what this would sound like. This is my Saturday night attempt, for what it's worth. People of UUAC, we are 100% human. That means that we all live, we try to love, we screw up, We try to forgive. We rage. And we try to repair. We are worthy. We are welcome. We are loved. We are special. We are all of those things, no less and no more than anyone else around you. Here in this room, we are a percentage of all of these things. We are idealistic. We are realists. We are Democrat. We are libertarian. We are agnostic, anxious, joyful, employed, older in our years than our attitude might convey, younger in years than our attitude might convey, Republican, Christian, Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, white, atheist, tree hugger, brown, black, suburban, divorced, divorcing, earnest, extrovert, shy, hate coffee hour, love coffee hour, love God, Muslim, parent, activist looking to be more active, privileged because of our race, underemployed, unemployed, centered, resilient, worried, confident, spiritual, not religious, religious and not spiritual, female, partnered, single, male, gender not this or that, sad, resolute, focused, distracted. You know what else we are? We're together. And when we are together, we have these traits. Ability to match musical pitch. You didn't hear, Sarah, you were out when my test came back and said that maybe a surprise to you that I don't have that ability. Why are you laughing? Together, ability to match musical pitch, well, it depends if Sarah and the choir are here, and if Heather's here, who helps us, and some of you are beautiful singers. Likelihood to get comforted when we are afflicted, and afflicted when maybe we are too comfortable. Likely. Ability to sit in stillness in a room with 150 other people and not check your phone. I pray. Likelihood to discover that we belong to a system that favors us depending on what we look like, and what our gender is, and who we love, and where we live, and then feel pretty uncomfortable about that. Guaranteed. Likely to feel the presence of God or Spirit and transcendence as a verb and not a noun. Highly likely if we remember that theology and religion is like poetry from Walt Whitman and not a textbook like science. Likelihood to get drawn out of yourself so that you can have a bigger vision. Oh, friends, I hope so. And last, likelihood to hear how this community offers you love that won't let you off the hook or let you go without being there to catch you. Absolutely. We're large. We are multitudes. We have work to do. Do not despair. There's too much to be done. And that's good because we are together.